One of the biggest reasons why education is important is that it helps us become better versions of ourselves. According to George Washington Carver, education is the key that unlocks the golden door to freedom. That is why every country desires to have an effective educational system that will produce educated and productive citizens who will improve its economy and transform the nation. It is therefore necessary to look into the world's best educational practices and earnestly learn from them. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to those who are watching from the Philippines, and good morning or good evening to those who are in other time zones. Welcome to the virtual presentation of proposed policy studies on the global trends and issues in education with the theme Current Development of Educational Systems, Policies, Trends and Issues, and Best Practices of Selected Educational Institutions in Asia and other parts of the world. I am Crystal Ann Hermosa, an EDDAM student, and it is an honor to be this afternoon's host. Let us all look forward to have a productive afternoon and learn new things as we have this culminating activity in EDDAM 317, Global Trends and Issues in Education. To begin, let us have the opening prayer and singing of the Philippine National Anthem through audiovisual presentations.
Dear God, thank you for the opportunity to meet together. Please help us to come together to make this institution reflect your kingdom. Breathe life into our ideas and decisions. Help us build a team that has love and respect at its heart. Give us the strength to continue working for your kingdom in this time of pandemic. Lord, come give us the inspiration to be the best we can be. May we be a shining example of your goodness and truth within, wherever we are. Inspire our thoughts discussions and ideas and continue to remind us that all that we do here today, all that we accomplish, is for the pursuit of truth for the greater glory of you. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas. Kayang magiliw, kailasan sinanalan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyagan ang magiting, sa mandulupin, di ka pasisigil, sa nalagang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagkaw, ay hinagak tudlang awit sa pagkayang minamahal. Ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na nagtinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang ay di magtitigil. Lumanang araw ng walhaging pagsikta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Aming ligaya na pagkay mag-aamig, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
This time, let us listen to the opening remarks to be delivered by the EDDELM Program Advisor, Dr. Melinda D. de Guzman. Madam?
Madam, mute ka po.
So thank you very much, Ms. Purcell. To our panel of evaluators this afternoon, our very own core faculty members of the Bicol University, Open University, to our very efficient, effective program coordinator, Dr. Emily Agunos, and at the same time, the faculty in charge of this presentation of our EDDELM OU students, invited students from different programs, and of course, to our beloved Dean of the Bicol University, Open University, Dr. Rameses Lorino. A pleasant good afternoon to each and every one of you. Today's activity is very significant to all EDDELM students, and we're going to witness and experience this virtual presentation about the proposed policy studies on global trends and issues in education with the theme, the current development of educational systems, policies, trends, and issues and best practices of selected educational institutions in Asia and other parts of the world. Why did I say you are going to experience? Because there are students right now about to finish their doctoral studies, and this is one of your dry run to witness and to present your different proposals, and at the same time defend your proposal. And together with the skills that being developed by our EDDELM students, and I believe, and I would like to congratulate the EDDELM students for accepting the challenge about this activity. This activity, as what I have said, is significant not only to EDDELM students, but to all students who are enrolled in Bicol University Open University program. With that, I would like to congratulate you all in attending and in preparing this activity. Thank you and congratulations to all of you. Mabuhay tayong lahat.
Thank you, Madam. To continue with our program, let us have the activity orientation to be presented by the EDDELM Program President, Mr. Alvin M. Mahawan. Sir?
Good afternoon. My respect to the Dean of Bicol University Open University, Dr. Rameses M. Lorino. The lion's share of my greetings goes to the brilliant panel of evaluators, which will be introduced later, program advisors, faculty in charge, students coming from different programs, which are joining with us today. Good afternoon. Global education incorporates learning about the cultures, geographies, histories, and current issues of all regions. It is a lens that can be applied to all disciplines, grade levels, and the broader school community. This is the reason why global learning is essential in the 21st century as barriers between nations and people continue to fade. However, those who claimed that as we venture the educational trends, policies, practices, and systems across the globe, you will end frustrated in our local setup. Now, what can we do? How can we revert such a mindset? This is our step of thinking globally but acting locally. Today, the Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Management students enrolled in EDELM 317 subject Global Trends and Issues in Education, a policy studies under Dr. Emily Imagonos, will present their proposed policies which can be replicated and applied in the Philippine educational system. This is their final output, focusing on current educational systems, policies, trends, and issues, and best practices of selected educational institutions in Asia and other parts of the world. To the presenters, good luck, and we may radiate the burning desire as leaders in making a difference in the current educational system and promoting global education. Thank you, and God bless everyone.
Thank you, Sir Alvin. That is right. This afternoon, we will be listening to the presentations of 5 groups. Now, allow me to present to you the criteria for evaluation and selection of best presentation. Criteria for evaluation and selection of best presentation: academic significance for 25%, relevance to the theme 25%, quality of delivery and video presentation 25%, and mastery of the topic or response to query 25%, a total of 100%. To encourage the presenters, let us watch these videos.
Hi, my name is Riza Valenzuela from Japan. I am currently enrolled in the Master in Management program at the Bicol University Open University. Good luck!
Hi, hello, fellow graduate students. My name is Reynaldo Liaba Jr. I am a graduating student of Bicol University, Open University, Master of Management. Sending you a warm greetings all the way from Albania. Thank you.
Wow, such an encouragement. And this afternoon, we are privileged to have with us the brilliant minds from Bicol University who will be the panel of evaluators. Allow me to introduce them to you. First, we have the BUOU Document Controller and Program Advisor of Master of Arts in English Education. His expertise is English education and educational foundations. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Roldan C. Cabiles. Next, we have the coordinator of BUOU Student Affairs and Services and the Program Advisor of Master of Arts in Social Studies Education. His expertise is philosophy, public administration, and educational management. Friends, a virtual applause to Professor Jose Carlo B. Lavapié. Third, we have the Academic Program Coordinator of BUOU and the Program Advisor of Master in Management. Her expertise includes accounting, management, and development management. A virtual round of applause to Dr. Emily M. Agonos. Fourth, we have the chairperson of the panel of evaluators. He is the Research and Extension Coordinator of BUOU and the Program Advisor of Master in Local Government and Management. His expertise is economics, business administration, and counselor education. Ladies and
Good
gentlemen,
afternoon.
Dr. Ramon T. De Leon. Hello, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Lastly, we also have with us the Gender and Development Coordinator for BUOU and the Program Advisor of Master of Arts and Doctor of Education in Educational Leadership and Management. Her expertise is nursing, management, and educational leadership and management. A virtual applause to Dr. Melinda D. de Guzman.
Good afternoon.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
All right, I think we are now all set for the presentations of proposed policy studies on global trends and issues in education. I would like to remind everyone that there will be a question and answer portion from our panel of evaluators right after every presentation. For the participants, should you have any query about each video presentation, you may use the chat box and send your questions. And we hope to have them answered by the group members. Are the presenters ready? I hope they are. If you guys are excited as I am for this virtual activity, can you send a heart emoji here in our chat box? Let's see if you are here with us, and let's radiate good vibes. Okay. All right, I think we will now, wow, ready na ang presenters natin. Okay, let us have the first presentation entitled A Review on the Basic Education in Singapore Amid COVID-19 Pandemic. Input for Policy Studies in Philippine Education. Presenters, Alvin Mahawan, Crystal Ann Hermosa, Christine May Gozo, Jomer Rosal, and Marcelino Ibanez.
Good day everyone. Allow me to present to you our output entitled A Review on Basic Education in Singapore Amid COVID-19 Pandemic, Input for Policy Studies in Philippine Education. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Singapore experienced a public health crisis, economic recession, and a prolonged period of social isolation. Similar to the rest of the world, Singaporeans faced physical, mental, and financial challenges. Singapore's pandemic response had two principles: science and social responsibility. The decisions made in their government were anchored in what science tells, and at the same time, social responsibility was emphasized among the people. These two significant principles were also at the heart of educational policy during the pandemic. This article primarily examined the challenges, practices, and opportunities in the basic education in Singapore, which can be input for policy studies in Philippine education. This is specifically guided with the following objective. First is to determine the challenges in instructional delivery, content, and assessment encountered in basic education in Singapore and how it was addressed successfully during the COVID-19 pandemic. Then, to analyze the best practices used in continuously delivered educational content and assessment in basic education in the time of pandemic. Next is to document the opportunities in basic education in time of pandemic in Singapore. And lastly, to recommend an input for policy studies and development in the practices and opportunities applicable in Philippine education. The study adopted the comprehensive literature review as a method of research. Available literature and studies from 2011 to 2021 from online resources were considered for content analysis and review. Materials were analyzed according to instructional delivery, content, and assessment in the basic education in the time of COVID-19 pandemic. After undertaking the comprehensive literature review, the researchers have arrived at the following conclusions. Number 1. Despite the pandemic, the Singaporean government fully supports the education of its citizens by providing the education fund for learners and pursuing its initiative years before to provide free laptops and internet-enabling device for their learners to pursue their current home-based learning. The Singaporean Ministry of Education schedules an annual e-learning week for teachers in order to equip them with IT skills. Ministry of Education also offers e-learning professional development courses to support the teachers in the new normal and to allow learners to have seamless and meaningful learning. Singapore sees to it that they produce graduates with skills that match the needs of their economy because they are capitalizing on human resources to build a stronger national economy. There is a strong political leadership in Singapore which make it possible for the alignment of educational policies and practices which include the empowerment of school leadership and fully capacitating the teachers. Singaporeans also have developed in them the culture of continuous improvement and orientation to the future. Singapore is known to be a research nation. Standing out among the member countries of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, Ministry of Education was able to address the gap between the number of low-performing students and the high-performing students by increasing the number of high-performing students who even came from low-income families. The Ministry of Education campaigns for the following initiatives: Teach less, learn more. Every school a good school, and Learn for Life, which all encourage Singaporeans to pursue lifelong learning to find satisfaction and meaning. Lastly, in Singapore, struggling learners are identified as early as grade 1 and provided with systematic intervention system. There is a strong emphasis in learning mathematics and science. Based on the conclusions given, the researchers recommend the following for policy studies in Philippine basic education. First, the Philippine government may consider and approve a higher budget allocation for education in order to provide free laptops and internet-enabling gadgets for diligent and deserving Filipino learners from low-income families. Next is, aside from the annual in-service training conducted by the Department of Education, DepEd may consider scheduling an e-learning week filled with workshops, short courses or training, not just for teachers in service but likewise for all the pre-service teachers for their professional development and to help them improve their IT savviness and technological skills, which are crucial factors for the success of distance learning. Third is, the constant review and research must be conducted to find out the relevance of the curriculum to work settings. The countries needs to ensure that there will no mismatch of the Filipino graduates' skills and the demands of work locally and globally, allowing the supply to sufficiently meet the demand. Next, The Philippine educational system needs to have a manpower planning approach that specifically identifies the critical manpower needs and project demands for future skills in order to help students to move faster into growing sectors, reduce oversupply in areas of declining demand more quickly, and utilize the public funds more efficiently for post-secondary education. Also, the Philippines needs to have national leaders who have a strong political will to craft educational policies that will be beneficial to many. This can include capacity building and mental health activities for teachers and learners, rigid recruitment, selection and hiring of quality teachers, and increase in salary. Increase the number of high-performing students in the country by giving the teachers appropriate training and allowing them to focus in their teaching job. By doing so, the teachers can have more time to reach out to the struggling students and train them well to become better ones. This might include lessen of teachers' workload and stress in doing other extra tasks. Then, the Department of Education may also present initiatives such as those in Singapore, which will promote deeper conceptual understanding and problem-based learning for all, while allowing the learners to pursue their respective interests. At the same time, initiatives such as Every School a Good School and Thinking Schools Learning Nation in Singapore are worthy of emulation because need to be given to the identified struggling Filipino students as early as grade 1, and they should not be promoted to other grade level if they did not know how to read. Learning mathematics and science shall be given emphasis. Lastly, recalibrate the priority areas of research both in the basic education and possible elevation to tertiary education for collaboration. This will ensure appropriate and relevant extension programs that will harness the current challenges in basic education in the Philippines.
Thank you for that video presentation. The group focused on Singapore. Now this time, I would like to request the members of the group to turn on their cameras because we will now proceed to the question and answer portion. I believe our dear
Yes, good afternoon. Can I
panel
have my
members.
first?
Yes, sir. Go ahead po.
I would like to request the presenter to flash the recommendation on the need for national leader. Their suggestion on
The
the need for
country's needs to in order to help students
have leaders who have a strong political and this can be capacity building and so on. So if this is your suggestion, how do you think this can be achieved? Maliban dun sa selection and hiring of quality teachers and increase in salary, what specific intervention can be recommended if we are going to come up with a policy? So ano ba yung specific intervention na pwedeng mai-recommend nyo along this so that we will be able to develop high caliber national leaders in education? Anyone may answer. Miss Cristel, naririnig ako?
Yes, sir. Yes po. Hello, group mates. Ma'am Emily Agonos is requesting us to turn on our cameras. Okay, sir. Siguro ako po ang mauna. In my idea,
Just
sir,
anyone from the group.
Yes, sir, I belong to the group po. On behalf of my group po, siguro, sir, one specific uh, strong policy that the government can do, just like how Singapore did it, is to come up with that education fund. The political leaders can come up with policies where the citizens can be united and uh, at least give financial support and form that into educational fund where they can donate that to students from low income families, wherein they can be provided with the necessary gadget and resources, educational resources po.
Yeah, that is in terms of developing the student. But in terms of developing national leaders, meaning to say, sa hanay na ito ng Education Department. So, paano tayo from teachers, how can they be converted into a good national leaders in terms of promoting the quality of education? Kasi sabi niyo dito is hiring, recruitment, selection, of quality teachers, and then bigyan ng magandang sweldo. Will this convert the teachers into good or quality educational leaders? Kasi sa tingin ko hindi. So ano ang intervention? Specifically dito, ano yung mga intervention na pwedeng gawin? Pwedeng gawan ng policy para ma-mold natin yung mga into leaders, no? Kasi hindi na kailangan dyan yung something to do with improving their academic qualifications, no? So ito na is something like paano natin mahuhubog talagang maging leader yung mga teachers. Na tipong papalit kay Madam Briones.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, Mr. Alvin?
Yes, sir. This recommendation is actually, we are referring to the capacity or capabilities of a certain leader in order for, not an educational leader actually. We are talking about the government officials, the more equipped and qualified to formulate educational policies for the consumption of educational leaders. Yes, sir. That's
Yeah,
what we
so,
are.
pero this supposed to be, Alvin, it should be coming from the DepEd, yung leaders, hindi ka, or are you trying to say ito yung mga elected officials?
Yes, sir. Because through an
Pero if
enactment
that
of,
is the case, kung halimbawa ito yung mga congressman or what, it will be outside your anymore. So how can you propose for policy intervention along this? Baka nasa labas na ng inyong ecosystem ng inyong study. Ano sa tingin mo? So magpo-propose ba tayo ng policy na kailangan yung tatakbong congressman may ganito, ganyan in terms of pag wala sila niyan, hindi sila pwedeng tumakbo bilang congressman.
Hello po.
Yes, Ms. Grosso.
Yes po. So, for me po kasi, para siyang parang magkakaroon po ng mas strong stakeholders and DepEd or yung mga nasa loob po ng department, yung strong linkages po nila yun. Hindi po siya like what you said po na kapag halimbawa yung congressman is walang strong political will para sa educational policy, hindi pwede. So, yung point po namin is magkaroon ng mas magandang relationship or pagkakaintindihan po yung Department ng Education and yung kasama po yung stakeholders. Kasama po baga sila sa stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
Yun po ang namin. In my point po.
Yeah, I understand kung ano yung gusto nyo. Pero ang hinahanap ko, which is kulang, is ano specific intervention ang may recommend ng inyong studies na parang nakuha nyo doon sa Singaporean experience na mayroon silang ganitong intervention. That's why we're able to produce national leaders who have a strong political will to craft educational policies. So meron ba kayong nakuha? Kasi kung hindi, parang mahirap ito i-recommend. Yun lang yung point ko, the group.
Sir, in Singapore po, they train the best students and
Oh yeah, it's in the
challenge
student. Pero
them
ang pinag-usapan natin ngayon is
po to
the
become part of
leaders.
the working force teachers.
Mhm.
And then based from that quality students will become also quality teachers.
Parang hindi natutumbok yung aking hinahanap. Kunwari, tingnan natin, nag-election. Okay, na-elect na natin yung mga congressman, yung mga and so on sa national level. No? Ang tanong ko ngayon is, ano ang magandang intervention na pwede niyong ma-recommend na maging policy so that we will be able to help these elected officials na sabi ko nga, hindi siya pwede makuha doon sa recruitment dahil hindi naman tayo pwede magsabi na kung wala sila nito, hindi sila pwede mag-run as the Congress. Now, naando na sila. So what will be the best intervention that you recommend based from your study, experience in Singapore, na po pwedeng gawin na intervention tanganing ining mga elected officials natin in the Congress or in the Senate will be able to have a strong grounding in the crafting of educational policies. So parang ganun. Okay, so siguro kung hindi niyo masagot ngayon, better pag-usapan niyo, no? And kasi mas magandang mailalagay niyo dito sa recommendation, yung very specific, concrete na intervention nga ni makuha, na bako lang i-recommend na the need to have national leaders. Kasi meron naman tayo ng mga national, like we have Win Gatchalian, no? So mga tipong like this, no? Okay, pero paano natin makakonvert itong mga congressman into Win Gatchalian, no? So something like, ano ang intervention na ipoprovide natin na nakuha nyo doon sa study nyo in Singapore? Baka mayroon sila. Okay? So yun
Thank you,
lang.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Noted po, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead po, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. So what I have seen there in your presentation is the recommendation or the recommendations you have given to us. But my question here is, what is now your policy? Because when we speak about policy, there must be a framework. There must be set of goals, guidelines, and rules. So what I have seen are just recommendations. May I know the policy that you would want to introduce as an output of your research?
Miss Cristile,
Sorry.
ano na nangyari?
Yeah, nakuha niyo ba yung tanong ko?
Apo, sir, policy, specific policy that we can learn from Singapore that we could conduct or we could apply in the Philippines. One policy po, sir, that the Department of Education siguro po could implement is the conduct of e-learning week. I think that's already mentioned din po sa recommendation. And this e-learning...
Miss Cristel, what you're saying to us are just activities of a particular policy. Because when we speak about policy, there must be a framework, And of course, what you are saying to us are just activities from a particular policy. So what I'm asking, because your activity this afternoon is about proposed policy. So I am expecting a policy that you have to introduce to us, not just recommendations.
Okay po, sir.
Actually, that is also what I am asking. So ano ba yung intervention? And then so that we will be able to find out what policy can you recommend to effect the intervention na nakita nyo doon sa Hi, Alvin.
Hello, sir. Excuse me, sir. Thank you, sir. Actually, sir, our output is actually we're able to come up with an output. Yeah, that's based on our recommendation. Those are actually specific activities, and the group failed to present a specific policy because we failed to look into at least a framework or formulate such framework that we can propose actually at least one policy um, serving as those activities as the umbrella to that policy, and we failed to present that. But we have here are the specific activities that we propose that we recommend for possible integration in the Philippine educational system. So those mentioned the how home-based learning, e-learning, and some of the activities mentioned.
You are mentioning on activities, right? But when we speak about policy, so there must be a logical structure on it. There must be a framework on it. There is a title, okay? So uh, on that particular policy, so if it is an educational policy, so what's the title? And there must be a framework. So what I'm asking is the framework. Of course, those activities will just follow from the framework, from the goals, from the objectives. So those are several parts of policy when speak about policy.
Yes, sir. Yun po ang hindi namin nagawa yung pinaka-policy ko. Kasi we presume that our output, that's the reason why the title of our article or this output is that it is just a review, and we failed to present actually the specific policy. Yeah, we understand and we get your point, Professor, that at least we have the outline, perhaps we're integrated in there the component parts of the policy, and we failed to present that. And with that, perhaps the group will take that suggestion that we're going to craft one.
But the title of our activity this afternoon is about a proposed policy. So these things that you have prepared and shown to us are just the they are just preface of the more important presentation, which is about policy. So yung mga conclusions ninyo, yung mga recommendations ninyo, those are just preliminaries of what is really the main presentation for this afternoon, which is about policy.
Excuse me, may I be recognized? Since our host is actually part of the group, so I will take over as the host for this Q&A. And thank you for accepting the observation, Sir Alvin. And we have noted of your comment, Professor Lavapie. So I suggest that the group will just have to include in their narratives all the suggestions presented by the panel of evaluators. Now let us listen to what Dr. Cabiles have to say. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Agonos. I think what has been the problem is the students have been overwhelmed with the experiences in Singapore. There were a lot of interesting policies that can be explored, but it could have been better if you only choose the glaring aspect of it, so that you could have prepared a policy specific or targeting what is to be addressed in this particular topic. What struck me while the group is presenting, what struck me the most are two things. First, the word meaningful learning in the new normal, which is practiced in Singapore. I'd like to know deeper on how they come up with meaningful learning. And number two, um, how is science and mathematics are integrated in the curriculum of Singapore? Because in the Philippines, science and mathematics are already integrated, but I would like to know how did they come up with the policy so that their students would top the examinations. In fact, Singapore is one of the countries that usually tops in teams. If you are aware of that, it's an international examination. Isa sila, pareho sila ng Finland at saka Japan. But I would like to know, bakit kaya sila nagtatap? Were you able to get that practice of Singapore?
Excuse me, sir.
Do we get the answer from any of the group members, please?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Thank you, sir. Actually, not only in the PIMSS, but also in PISA. Singapore also ranked second in terms of the science and mathematics performance. Now, talking about meaningful learning, well, in Singapore, actually, sir, since our focus, we are focusing on this basic education. However, as part of having the meaningful learning in Singapore, in elementary or even in intermediate years of the students, they are actually trained already, subjected to different community learning centers, as what we call in the Philippine setting, but they have a different term for that, a sort of auditorium or laboratory classrooms wherein students not just only learning within the four corners of the classroom, but we opt to visit this exhibits or science related and mathematics related activities. Well, in terms of in the Philippine setting, actually, if we can observe that is through to basic education, visible only, we can see science and mathematics related equipments. Ano, fortunate na doon sa they called as big school or mother's big school actually and medium school or the school offering STEM and limited in the Philippines. The offering of STEM curriculum is very limited. That is one thing in terms of the utilization rate of the fund. Actually, the fund of the Philippines when it comes to education policies is malaki naman po siya actually. But in terms of the utilization rate, that's the reason why we recommend that if possible, in terms of crafting, there's a tendency of aligning the policies and its enforcement. Just like kasi sa enforcement talaga, doon nagkaka-problem in terms of providing the needs of the needs in a curriculum.
Yes, Sir Alvin. Thank you for that. So, Sir Alvin, if you will be the secretary of the Department of Education, how are you going to promote meaningful learning addressing this kind of challenge?
For me, sir, as secretary of DepEd, actually, sir, the so-called those areas which cannot be accessed, the so-called far-flung areas, those are actually ang pinakakawawang areas na sila yung humuhugot doon sa performance ng Philippines. And the sector, the education sector or the DepEd would focus only in those areas na talagang accessible siya. And that's the big problem that perhaps there's a need to craft policies kasi there's a tendency, though we have the centralized, for example, in Department of Education, we have the superintendent that really that is the role is to supervise the entire division, and there is also the district supervisor, but there's the tendency that the roles are not being carried or hindi nila talaga na-function when it comes to even in this new normal actually. if we revisit, the meaningful learning is actually quite para siyang gray area siya on the part of science and mathematics curriculum. Kasi how can we experience meaningful learning? That's the pain in STEM actually. That's the pain we're in. Hindi nila na-experience yung tinatawag na meaningful learning as to how to apply and actualize the theories. Kasi hindi naman nila naiintindihan yung pinaka-theory ni math and science if they are not exposed to different meaningful learning or experiential learning.
Sir Alvin, with that being said, that could be a springboard on how you're going to come up with your policy for meaningful learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Dan. Actually, Dr. De Guzman is requesting for an excuse because she will be posting an announcement in her Google Classroom for this afternoon's class. So based on that, the group actually presented a lot of recommendations. Which do you think must be prioritized by DepEd?
Actually, that is also what I would suggest na you choose doon sa kadami-dami yung experience na nakita. You just choose yung pinakakailangan natin ngayon, no? And focus on one or two siguro. Okay na yun. Di ba, Ma'am Ems?
I agree with that, Mr. Chair. And based on the answer of the group, maybe that is where you can come up with specific policy as an output of your study. Do you have an answer, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. Actually, we are with the recommendations given and suggestions given by the panel of evaluators. We may opt to choose the one suggested by Professor Dr. Roldan on meaningful learning, and we might focus on STEM education, siguro, ma'am. And since our focus is during the pandemic, we may adopt or propose a policy on how home-based learning as one of the stringent mechanism and to still prioritize the safety of the students and the teachers. Home-based learning is actually one home-based learning coupled with that of the e-learning to have a meaningful learning.
Okay, so that's very notable. I guess that ends the presentation of Group 1. I now turn over the hosting to Ms. Cristel. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you po. Thank you po. To our dear panel members, thank you. And thank you, Group 1.
Walang photo option Group 1.
Kindly open your camera, Group 1. Sir Alvin, ikaw po ba yung
Opo.
print screen?
Ready po. 1, 2, 3. Smile. 1, 2, 3. Smile po. Ayan, okay na po. Ay, si Professor Lavapie po hindi naka-open. All right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Next, we have the presentation entitled A Comparative Analysis of the Trends, Best Practices, and Challenges of University of Malaya and University of Camarines Norte. Basis for Policy Recommendations. Presenters, Maricon Halina, Mary Grace Rubio, Geneva Aliego, Mary Grace Albos, Raisa Napoles, and Joy Yaneza.
To our beloved Professor, Ma'am Emily Agonos, to the panel of evaluators, and to our dear classmates, good day everyone. We are honored to be part of this culminating activity with the theme, Current Development of Educational Systems, Policies, Trends and Issues, and Best Practices of Selected Educational Institutions in Asia and other parts of the world. In behalf of my group mates, allow me to present to you our study with the title, a comparative analysis of the trends, best practices, and challenges of University of Malaya and University of Camarines Norte, basis for policy recommendations. Higher education is a key aspect in shaping future of the society. An individual achieves their personal goals and reach their full ability when they are given the opportunity to take the journey that explores the facets of their individuality, perseverance, and skills in college education. This level of education and pursuing a degree helps transform the lives of people, from potential to realization. In fact, the strong system of higher educational and its international recognition earned by the universities are significant contribution to the country's ability to compete in the world of work, in the global marketplace, and it's critical to our economic strength and social well-being. One of the higher education that continue to strive for recognition, where internationalization remains at the forefront of the university's agenda, is the University of Malaya, 113th in the world's university rankings and is constantly climbing up the ladder in the global rankings of universities, and is highly recognized worldwide as one of the top universities in the world. Its academic programs are globally recognized and accredited. Furthermore, in the University of Malaya, educational goals focused on their graduates to demonstrate knowledge and skills in their field of study, appropriate research and professional practices, and the processes of critical thinking, creative thinking, and problem solving. Use effective methods, including contemporary technology, to manage information, achieve diverse professional goals aligned with the professional standards, and make decisions based on appropriate data and information. On the other hand, the Philippine government continuously seeks to expand access and participation. The Philippines' higher education sector tries to improve the quality of education despite its lackluster performance in producing innovators, researchers, and knowledge producers, which indicates that the country has lagged behind many of its ASEAN neighbors. Compared to other Southeast Asian countries like Thailand, Malaysia, or Indonesia, the Philippines is currently not very well represented in international universities. Nevertheless, the University of Camarines Norte, a local HEI in the province of Camarines Norte, is striving harder to achieve more, to be distinguished, and to be one of the best. It became the first ever university in Camarines Norte through Republic Act No. 11399 last August 22, 2021. President Rodrigo Duterte signed the RA changing CNSC's status to university. The University of Camarines Norte focuses its goals on three key result areas. First, instruction and student development. A highly competitive graduates equipped with the appropriate higher education, training, skills, and attitude that are responsive to industry needs and the world of work. Second, research development and extension. Enhance the growth and profession of research and development culture and agenda in UCN, not only on identified commodities but also on improving academic programs and administrative services and strengthening extension efforts to reach out to the communities. Third, administration and management of resources. It emphasized cultivating efficiency and effectiveness in the administration of the affairs of UCN, including the operation of productive and profitable income-generating projects. Like most Asian countries, the Philippines also seeks to internationalize its education system and promotes transnational education partnerships with foreign HEIs. For example, the University of Camarines Norte can adopt some trends and best practices of University of Malaya. The university is known for its role in the development in Malaysia through various research. Thus, they have an independent research and development organization called the Higher Institution Center of Excellence. This study determined the trends and best practices of one of the top universities in Malaysia, the University of Malaya, and the University of Camarines Norte of Daet Camarines Norte, Philippines. Likewise, this study tackled the challenges experienced by two HEIs and the mechanisms they implemented to address these problems. This study also comparatively analyzed the two universities in terms of their trends and best practices and the challenges they had encountered. Based on the result, this study aimed to determine the trends and best practices that could be adopted by UCN from MU. Finally, a policy framework will be recommended to serve as a guide on how UCN will realize the adoption of the trend and best practices from MU. This study used the exploratory research design, employing a combination of online research, literature research, and case study research. Thus, in 2020, cited that exploratory research is conducted on problems that have not been investigated clearly, and there is not much information available on it. It is an unstructured type of research, and the available materials are studied in detail. Meanwhile, literature research is the most inexpensive exploratory research. One can make use of the abundance of information available in the libraries, online sources, government and commercial databases. Online research, on the other hand, is the fastest and easiest way to collect data. However, there is a need to make sure of the authenticity and genuineness of the online sources before using their information in the study. In addition, the case study is used to find out information on the problem by studying the existing cases. In this study, there were two sources considered. One was the primary researching method using interviews. The second was the secondary researching method using literature research, online research, and case study research. These approaches were used to identify and describe the trends and best practices, as well as the challenges and coping mechanism of UCN and MU as HEIs. The researchers gathered data from the following sources: UCN Handbook, UCN Portal, MU official website, and literature and studies that dwell on the topics for this study. After that, the researchers qualitatively analyzed the data from the available documents pertaining to the focus of the investigation. In analyzing the data, the researchers focused on the similarities and differences in the trends and best practices of the two HEIs. Moreover, the result of the document and data analysis from the literature reviews were coded into themes to determine the proper category for similar concepts on trends and best practices of UCN and MU. Furthermore, the result of the analysis were used as basis in the proposed policy recommendations on the UCN's adoption of the trends and best practices of MU. In terms of the challenges experienced, literature reviews were done to investigate the case of MU, while a combination of literature reviews and interviews with selected UCN faculty was conducted to describe the case of University of Camarines Norte. The results on the challenges were coded into similar themes and analyzed as to their similarities and differences. The gathered data were also utilized in crafting the proposed policy recommendations. This study considered ethical considerations in research by ensuring that all data coming from the primary and secondary sources were properly cited and given due credits. Also, the data used in the discussion were made sure to be coming from reputable and reliable websites and online sources. Finally, the interviews conducted had consent from the interviewee and their availability was treated with
offers high-quality teaching and scholarships. Their program length is enough to cater the needs and develop quality students, and is composed of high-quality faculties. But university also provides complete facilities and student support. They understand culture and diversity, sets clear career prospects, actively involved in different industries and networking for the interns and research projects, offers diverse business area, updates skills, knowledge, and disciplines, develops and redevelops curriculum, discusses management issues and improve leadership and problem-solving skills of the students, provides perfect balance for theory and practice, offers applied research, exposes students to research and industry, provides comfortable and suitable position for employment, leverages digital transformation, provides global and complete understanding of marketing issues, presence of comprehensive academic program, continues to build strong international collaboration, strive to reach worldwide recognition and accreditation, and the presence of faculty exchange program is evident. On one hand, the use of resources efficiently, good career service, and links with employers, and letting students dress freely as long as it is appropriate are practiced by the University of Malaya alone.
To end our presentation, we would like to highlight that it is crucial to remember that the needs of globalization have shaped most of the current models and efforts of internationalizing higher education. As a result, we must analyze issues such as various indices of quality and efficiency in Philippine higher education, as well as those connected to the readiness to engage and compete in a more globalized higher education environment. At the same time, we must analyze how globalization and internationalization may affect what is currently a somewhat troubled higher education system with obvious flaws in quality, efficiency, and access equity.
Thank you for that video presentation. May we request the second group to turn on their cameras for the Q&A. Thank you po.
Sir Roldan Tabilis, would you like to pose the first question?
Thank you, Dr. De Leon, for recognizing me. My question to the group is, what is the glaring challenge that you see in the paper? Because I think it's a research, and I think you're trying to come up with a policy based on the results of the paper. What do you think is the glaring challenge that you see from uh, from an analysis of the trends and best practices and challenges of the University of Malaya and University of Camarines Norte? When you compare both, ano kaya doon ang pwede nating addressin um, as soon as possible, given that we are in the pandemic?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon po to
Good afternoon, ma'am.
um as to the result of our um interviews or comparative analysis between the two universities. In terms of the addressing the challenges during the pandemic is the strengthening the teaching and learning and teachers' competence. That, for example, the use of online managed systems, since the face-to-face is not yet available or not yet possible. If so, maybe that is the best challenge, to come up with a policy that would be able to address that would be able to address the
challenge in the Philippines, probably Miss Halina.
yes, yeah.
Miss Maricon,
Yeah.
may I know, you've mentioned about teachers' competence, di ba? Parang ito yung you see that it's lacking in our context. May I know what specific competence is that on the part of the teacher? Is it the pedagogical competence or content ba, or what is it?
Since we are very new in this kind of situation, I believe that it is possible that we capacitate teachers in their pedagogical, and in terms of using of also the using the what is the the technology also.
Technology.
This is a big challenge for all of us educators to give quality education without a face-to-face delivery of
Education.
Okay, given that Ma'am Maricon, and also some members could answer also po ha, kasi kawawa naman si Ma'am Maricon. Okay. Yeah, pedagogy and technology. I know that most of you are aware of our context also in our educational setup. Do you think teachers can have that opportunity still to be capacitated in terms of their pedagogical and technological skills, considering that I think there are many demands that are expected of them right now. What I think most of our teachers are expected to come up with modules. They are the ones printing out the modules, distributing it to the students. Do you think our teachers still have the chance to retool themselves in terms of pedagogy and technology?
I think wala na.
Yeah, permission to speak po, sir.
Yes, Miss Raisa.
Yeah, I think po, sir, the teacher can also improve themselves po, although they are in modules. Like po sa atin, sa mga teachers natin, in order to capacitate their knowledge po, they enrolled in different courses po, like the MAED and the doctorates. And also po, in terms naman po sa technology in the 21st century, they still naman po pursuing, lalo na yung mga oldies natin, they still pursuing po sorry po. They still pursuing naman po their capacity po na ma-improve nila yung selves nila, and like po dun sa mga binibigay po na seminars and workshop baga po sa national like the OER po, through that po nakakapacitate po yung mga teachers and also po nade-develop nila yung knowledge nila dun sa ICT and also the other terms po mas na-improve nila, and through that po doon sila nakakagawa ng mga innovations po for their learners po. And also po for that mas nagiging mas knowledgeable na po yung mga bata in terms na in case po na magkaroon po ng face-to-face classes po yung mga bata, may po-forward na po nila ng mga teachers yung knowledge po dun sa mga pupils po.
Yes, that's correct. Because in fact, the government institutions, particularly DepEd, meron silang mga issuances na of policy regarding this retooling of our teachers. I think kasagsagan ito ng 2020. They have been issuing different memorandum orders, but I think there is a problem in terms of implementation, which I want the group to look into so that you could come up with a comprehensive and more relevant policy with regard to this aspect. Thank you very much for responding my questions.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Sir Dan. Actually, mine is not a question but a suggestion. Sorry. So
Noted po.
yeah, ayaw lumabas yung video ng oldies. Okay, so anyway, so mine is not anymore a question but very clear doon sa discussion nyo and with the question of Sir Roldan, no? I guess I would suggest to the group that you need to focus on kahit na sa pedagogical hindi siguro masyado, more on the technological side. I don't know, it's speaking from experience of an oldie, no? So medyo dyan tayo nahihirapan yung mag-adapt doon sa technology, no? So I just would like you to find out with the University of Malaya if parang walang age, something like aggregation, yung mga faculty na sila ay lahat mga technology enhanced na yung mga faculty ba nila na from the newbies to the oldest in the organizations. And then ano ba yung ginagawa nila, no? So ano yung ginawa ng university? Bakit ganun yung mga teachers nila? And so that we can come up with a policy wherein we need to consider, yun nga, isa sa mga consideration is yung mga teachers natin are loaded with a lot of paperworks, with other ang tawag natin dyan, mga assignments aside from teaching. So kumbaga wala nang natitirang oras and energy for the teachers to retool themselves, especially in terms of technology. Ang hirap niyan, no? Kasi hindi yan yung kinalakihan namin. At least with you people, we call you as digital natives. So samantalang kami ay mga digital migrants only, no? So we have to consider these things, no? So tingnan natin ano ba yung ginawa doon or ginagawa or ginawa doon sa University of Malaya na pwede nating ma-emulate, then come up with intervention, and then this intervention should be put into a policy para magkaroon ng ngipin yung intervention na na-identify nyo. So doon na lang kayo mag-zero in, wag na masyadong malawak para hindi kayo mahirapan, no? So what can you say about that, Miss Geneva?
Yes, sir. Yes po.
Noted. Okay. So yun. So Sir Carlo?
Yeah, good afternoon ulit. Same question with the first group. So which I guess you don't have that policy to be introduced to us as suggested by Dr. Roldan. So we expect that the output that you have to submit to us is that policy? Because I'm sorry to say, but upon reading the invitation letter, naset yung utak ko na you will be presenting policies. Okay, so but you presented to us your researches, but of course the cream of this afternoon to give justice to the title, which is about proposed policy study or proposed policy. So that's it. So I'll be expecting that most important thing, which is the policy. Okay. So coming from your researches. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir
Thank you,
JC.
sir.
Thank you po.
The group presented two HEIs, UM and UCM. Anybody from the group, can you please cite a specific practice na medyo pareho yung dalawang HEIs and how do they differ also? Thank you. May I call on Miss Maricon?
Yes po. So the the trends, in terms of trends, the University of Malaya and University of Camarines Norte, they both have a use of online management system, and in terms of teachers' competence, they both upskill their teachers through training online courses, seminars, webinars, especially in this time of remote or distance learning. What differs from two university is when I visit their portals po, mas ano lang po yung University of Malaya, mas updated po sila. Talagang every now and then, they have updated in their online management system, in their portal. Unlike the University of Camarines Norte, they are not yet, maybe the last time they posted in their website was 2018 or 20, kasi yung kanila pong organizational chart is not yet updated. In terms of best practices, the thing that they differ is the University of Camarines Norte has the students have uniform. In University of Malaya, they dress freely as long as it appropriate, and the university has a good, in University of Malaya, the university has a good career service and links with employers. This is based from the interview to some of the professors in the University of Camarines Norte, which wala po sila dito sa, yun po ang kanilang pagkakaiba.
Okay, I guess that would be enough. I was just asking for a very specific practice na pareho sila at hindi rin po sila pareho. May I now call on Dr. De Guzman if you are already with us for some question, if you have one.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ma'am Ems. Actually, while I am making announcements to my class, I was listening to Sir Mon and Sir Dan's queries about the study of Miss Maricon. Now, considering that you are comparing you have this comparative analysis for an international school like the Malaya and the University of Camarines Norte from the Philippines. I was wondering, in terms of best practices, what do you think are the similarities or commonalities of these two institutions in terms of best practices? Anyone can answer. Miss Maricon?
Yes po. Good afternoon. Good afternoon po. For me po, according to since when I visit the website doing the research of University of Malaya, it highlights the research institute. They have a independent organization that showcases a wide range of interesting impact-driven research covering various areas and topics from cultural arts and urban placemaking to open science in future research capacity. But unlike this could be a this can be adopted by the University of Camarines Norte, since the University of Camarines Norte is not, maybe this is that's why the University of Malaya is known or became a favorite of international students, because they are very particular sa kanila pong research center.
Okay, so in that case, what will be your recommendation now? Considering that this is a policy, are you going to inform your president in Camarines Norte State University that you can adapt these best practices by the University of Malaya? So
it can be an implication. It can be an implication for a dialogue, for planning, with us focus on specific strategies that can be further developed, and acknowledging the function of University of Malaya trends and best practices to push for a more global perspective of University of Camarines Norte.
Okay, so in that case, the best practices that you would like to look into is to strengthen the research practices of the Camarines Norte, right, Miss Maricon? Is it right?
Po.
Okay,
Yes,
so thank you. That's all.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. I guess you were able
Thank you
to
po.
take note kung ano yung gagawin nyo, no? So probably gagawin nyo is take a look into the differences, and then ano ba yung glaring na mayroon sila na wala tayong pwede natin i-adapt, and then probably your policy may not be a national, but it could be something like for your university, and for further improvement ng inyong university. Pwede rin yun siguro, Ma'am Ems. Ano po? Okay, so thank you very much. We now proceed, Ma'am M, sa third presenter.
Yes, sir.
Thank you po, our dear panel and group 2. Third, we have the presentation entitled Thailand's Experience on the Internationalization of Higher Education Institutions, What Bicol University Can Learn From. Presenters, Don August Delgado, Bernardino Melesio, Robert Loquiliano, Benajoy Lopez, and Mariches Bihino.
Thailand's experience on the internationalization of higher education institutions. What Bicol University Can Learn From, by Don August Delgado, Robert Leontero Loquiliano, Mariches Vihino, Benajoy Lopez, and Bernardino Melesio. All educational institutions, either public or private, are always striving to provide quality education, the kind of education everyone would want. One of the considered measures of an institution's ability to provide quality education is through the volume of international students enrolled in the institution. A bigger number of international students enrolled could indicate that the programs being offered by the institution are internationally recognized and accredited, which tells the institution's sterling quality. In making the educational institution attractive to the international community, institutions are trying their best to keep abreast with the demand of advancing the quality of education that it offers to achieve global quality. Higher educational institutions spend immense amount of resources to ensure development that fits the current needs of the educational system and world standard with regards to instructional quality, facilities, output of teachers and students as products of innovation and knowledge that can be shared to the wider academic community. The succeeding presentation will give each of us an opportunity to understand what Thailand has gone through in its quest for internationalization, its best practices and challenges that we hope Bicol University can come up with a sound international strategy that can transform its image to becoming a world-class university in the Philippines and in the world. Because with international programs being attended with a plurality of international students coming from the ASEAN countries and other parts of the world, Bicol University will not only achieve 3 stars from the QS but will have a great chance to be included in its ranking system. Inclusion in Times and Shanghai rankings will not be a remote possibility. Thailand is the third most popular study destination in Southeast Asia after Malaysia and Singapore in terms of inbound student mobility, and attracts a far larger number of international degree students than Indonesia or Vietnam. Available data showed Thailand's international students increased from 1,882 in 1999 to 20,309 in 2015. Thailand is aggressively pursuing increased integration into the global education community with an emphasis on regional partners, notably ASEAN partner countries. The number of collaborative programs between Thai and foreign higher education institutions is on the rise, and governments have emphasized internationalization of the Thai education system in recent years. Thailand's internationalization of higher education is more evident compared to its neighboring countries and around the world. Despite the political instability and lack of a strong government strategy to promote internationalization, collaborations between Thai and foreign universities have grown robustly in recent years, with the number of joint degree programs with foreign universities increasing from 92 in 2011 to 159 in 2013 alone. Because internationalization is the key development strategy for universities in Thailand, a surge in international program offerings and the establishment of international colleges and institutes on many campuses has increased considerably in the most recent years. Studies show that many foreign students that come to Thailand to study have a common area of interest when choosing their majors. The most popular programs that international students decide to study on include International Business Administration, International Marketing, International Business English, General Management, International Business Management, and Thai language. The international colleges in Thailand's popularization could be attributed to the government's encouragement for Thai universities to have their own interpretation and definition of internationalization, best responsive to their own context. The Office for Higher Education Commission also formulated a framework for higher education under which it is required that the quality of graduates at every level of qualifications and field of study fulfills at least 5 domains of learning, which are ethics and moral, knowledge and cognitive skills, interpersonal skills and responsibility, numerical analysis, and communication and information technology skills. Comparing the expenditures on research and development amongst the leading ASEAN countries, with Singapore and Malaysia leading the pack, Thailand spent approximately 1.11% of its GDP in the latest available data, whilst the Philippines spent a mere 0.16% of its GDP. Some of Thailand's top 2% scientists, which includes foreign faculty members, comes from the two leading Thai universities, Chulalongkorn University and Mahidol University. The effort on internationalization of Thai universities was strengthened with the creation and implementation of Thailand's 20-year strategy to accelerate the kingdom's development to a more advanced level, dubbed Thailand 4.0. Thailand 4.0 aims to transform Thais into more competent human beings in the 21st century and develop them as first world citizens. In order to achieve this goal, the kingdom is set to reform its education system by transforming the learning ecosystem to purposeful learning, generative learning, mindful learning, and result-based learning. These shifts will lead to changes in goals and administration of the education system, teacher skills and teaching paradigm, curriculum and teaching and learning methods. In the Philippines, the internationalization of higher education has long been practiced in both public and private universities through exchange programs, collaborative research, and academic endeavors and other forms of collaborations. A more holistic approach on the internationalization of higher education in the Philippines as a policy has been illuminated only in 2016 through the CHED Memorandum Order No. 55, or the Policy Framework and Strategies on the Internationalization of Higher Education in the Philippines. The three internationalization strategies identified in the memorandum are: first, the enhanced implementation of the Quality Assurance Framework and the quality, effectiveness, and efficiency of the Philippines' higher education institutions. Second is the systematic facilitation of the countrywide and regional mobility and market access of students, faculty, and staff. And third is the strengthening of appropriate international linkages of HEIs for sustainable Philippine international higher education sector. Bicol University is one of the participating SUCs in the CHED's project on internationalization. Bicol University's intention on internationalization in the next 5 years are: first is to improve its academic reputation in the global community through an enhanced web page to promote its flagship programs to attract international students. Second is to engage in international research collaboration with universities that will yield publications in Scopus, and at the same time to attract foreign faculty members and researchers to handle classes in the university. And third is to improve the university's performance along the different criteria used in the QS stars and thus boost its global presence through its web page and QS stars rating. Along these intentions, Bicol University is expecting to achieve the following outcomes: improve academic reputation in the global community, increased web presence, increase in international students, more international research collaborations, which will yield publications in Scopus and attract foreign faculty lecturers, increase in citations, and use the results of the audit to help the university improve its performance. The Bicol University, as a matter of policy recommendation, may explore the possibility of following Thai universities' approach on internationalization. This means the development of international programs institutionalization of the Institute for International Studies, hiring of qualified foreign teachers whose native language is English, welcoming the admission of paying foreign students and local students, and providing world-class teaching and learning facilities. Learning from the Thai higher education institutions' experiences on institutionalizing international institutes and colleges and programs, we could envision that Bicol University would gather immense benefits such as increase in the number of international faculty, increase in the number of international students, enhance international student support services, wider opportunity on students' recruitment and admission, wider opportunity on international exchanges, research collaboration, international research funding, international internship, and establish closer relation with embassies and consulates.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Militia, for the presentation of the group. Ma'am Elaines, can we have Madam Melinda de Guzman to please first throw your question to our presenters? Madam Elaines,
Okay,
yes.
so congratulations, the group of Sir Bernard and Sir Don and Sir Robert and Bina and Mariche, for coming up this proposed policy studies in terms of Thailand experience on internationalization for higher educations, what Bicol University can learn from. No? So very timely, but how are we going to convert that into policy making? This what Bicol University can learn from, because you are focusing on the proposed policy, you're proposing policy, but with your title itself, what Bicol University can learn from. So what policy would you like to recommend to Bicol University particularly? Thank you, Sir Bernard.
Okay,
hello po. Sorry po, sir and sir. Thank you, Ma'am Mel. But sorry because I have a problem with my video, so I can't show my face to you guys. My apologies. Yes. So the policy is this. We know that the Chad has issued the Memorandum Order number 1055, which somehow becomes a framework for internationalization. The problem, therefore, is that all SUCs and also private universities are just moving around the framework. Okay, so there's no specific policy as to what the university can come up with. So if we are trying to, if I'm not suggesting that we go on to legislation because that's a long shoot, long shot process. I would recommend that because the Commission on Higher Education has already issued a strategy, would it be possible for Bicol University, through its Board of Regents, to come up with a policy, make a resolution that maybe Bicol University can look into the possibility of, one, coming up with an Institute for International Studies. Second, that the Bicol University's possibility of developing international programs that will open up for international students. Because right now, looking at what the objectives and intentions of Bicol University are this. We are waiting for international students to come to Bicol University through improved web presence, which I guess will not materialize because that's not how you recruit international students and international faculties. So my suggestion is if the Board of Regents leading to and looking at the strategy and the framework by the Commission on Higher Education could pass a resolution to institutionalize or at least give birth to the Institute of International Studies, or what we call it, maybe institute or college, international college or something, and start developing that international program. In that case, if that could happen, then there could be some, as far as I understood it, the Bicol University is a recipient of the funds on that strategy. It is on Facebook, and it is clear. And, that's how I knew it. So the question now is, with that fund, would it be possible to come up with a proposed institutionalization of an international institute and develop international programs? So that's the kind of policy that I am eyeing for. Not really that, national level policy, because as I've said earlier, if we come up with a policy that requires legislation, that will be a long shot because it goes to the local legislation, the Congress and the Senate, and to be sponsored by CHED. So my point is just on the institution level.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Sir Bernie.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to add, Sermon, excuse me,
Yes.
that for the information of the group, Bicol University has an international office also.
Relations office.
Relations office headed by no other than Dr. Rivero. Am I right, Sir Anomon? So
Yes,
he's the one catering to, in terms of internationalization or partnering with other international institutions in the global arena. Actually, Bicol University has there are international schools partnered with Bicol University. I do not have the record of, in terms of numbers, as to partnering, the international school partnering with Bicol University. But however, Mr. Bern, that's a very good idea also, to help and support also Bicol University, because nakikita ko dito na, of course, as a student of Bicol University and a former employee of Bicol University, gusto mo pang umakat palalo ang Bicol University in the global arena, di ba?
Yes po, ma'am. Yes po.
Okay. So you have a bright idea for that, So meantime, yun na muna. Kaya lang, syempre we have the DepE, we have the CHED, and it's a long process when we talk about policies in terms of higher education institutions. So with that, thank you.
So thank you very much, Ma'am Mel.
May I recognize po? May I be recognized?
Yes, Miss Mariches.
Oh, yes po. So actually po, before Ma'am Mel talked about the international, what do we call that? About the International Relations Office of the Bicol University. I have already read that as part of our research po with this policy. So, about what Ma'am Mel is talking about po for the information of others, we have 26. I don't know if the data is updated, but as I opened the Bicol University site, I have read about the International Relations Office, and there are 26 universities which are partner of the Bicol University. Some of them are the Taiwan, Belgium, Bangladesh, China, Turkey, and others. So as what I have seen in this International Relations Office is that there are the structure of the organization has only 3 persons in that. Am I right? I don't know. So there is the president, and then the international relations officer, and the 2 administrative aides. So
Yes.
yes. So thank you very much, sir. So maybe as we have seen it po, one of the things that I would like to suggest with my group is that maybe to increase the number of faculty or the people under this international relations office po. Because as we know, when we talk about international, it's very big, and there's a lot of things that we need to do in this. So maybe po the 3 people is not enough for that. Aside from the fact that maybe some of these people are also having other coordinatorships and maybe other subjects. So actually, one of my recommendation here also is to increase the number of the faculty to meet the standard proportion of faculty students ratio. So based from the 2015 and 2016 data that I have read in the site is that we have 26,352 scholars, and yet we have 643 faculty that time. So that means to say, if we're going to compete for the ratio of the faculty with the scholars or the learners is 1:41, which is not compliant with the standard. I don't know if HEI has different standards with regards to the number of learners, but for the public, the standard is 1:35 for the basic education curriculum. So as we can see po, actually, nahihirapan yung mga faculty din natin. Ako personally as co-leader din po, ito yung isang nakikita natin na although we are trying our best to be competitive, and sometimes we would like to have this professional development, but time constraint is really a big challenge for us. So say for example, 1:41. If I remember it right po, last summer, talaga pong na-overwhelmed din yung ating mga professors. First time daw po nilang makahandle ng estudyante sa OEQ. So maybe it's also an indication na talagang BU is doing a lot of great things. That's why it attracts more students. And thank you for that, of course. So the teaching loads, the teachers are also handling a lot of coordinatorship. We have, as we can understand from some of our professors in Bicol University, aside from handling the activities for the programs of their coordinatorship, or of course they also have their loads, teaching loads. So as what Sir Bernie is talking about, so we should have preferably a different group of people for these international studies or this particular part, and or if we cannot do that because as we know it's a budget constraints naman, which is also yung nakita natin po kanina dun sa presentation na kung i-compare kasi yung Thailand doon sa Pilipinas, napakaliit ng budget ng Pilipinas. And hindi lang naman HEIs ang nagsasuffer doon. Almost all of us po. So maybe if sabi ko nga kanina, tinitingnan ko dun sa nabasa ko, the budget allocation for the international relations is only 5% of the annual F164 budget of the Bicol University. And others are from those donations and from their partner universities. So if budget is also a problem, maybe we can have at least lessen po the loads of these professors or these teachers and for the international studies or those who will handle this. Because for them to have the time to conduct quality researches, of course, we know that researches takes time. And minsan kasi ang nangyayari, we just do researches sometimes just for the purpose of complying because it's a requirement. And that is a problem. And maybe have time for their professional development. Say, for example, one of that is visiting faculty and the scholarship program. So if the faculty in the Bicol University has a lot of those loads and coordinatorship, it's very difficult, I think, for that to visit other nations or other universities, affiliated universities, in order for them to have their professional development. So that is what I can share for this. Thank you very much.
Okay, so thank you very much, Madam Mariches, for that. No? So I agree with Ma'am Milins on how you need to take a look at siguro doon sa study natin, or I also agree with Sir Bernie na sabi niya, we don't need to focus on the national level but on the Bicol University. So ang nakita ko lang na medyo kulang doon sa presentation niyo, although baka naandun sa written document niyo, is that we don't have a one-on-one parang comparison between the University of the Thailand experience in the Bicol University in terms of internationalization. No? So maraming nasabi sa atin si Madam Mariches, but it would be very logical or better if i-compare natin yung Thailand experience and then yung Bicol University experience, considering IRO as the lead office in the university. And we focus only on the internationalization, no? Kasi yung internationalization na observe ko dito sa atin sa university, more on just establishing linkages. Pero we don't have much on the marketing side, like yearly meron tayong mga estudyanteng pumapasok because we can also have linkage with industry na magpo-provide sa tuya ng mga student on higher level education. So parang something like that. So dun po ang aking suggestion that you focus on in the internationalization lang tayo, wag na munang titingnan yung other areas of the university. Ano yung mga practices or experience in Thailand na wala dito sa atin sa Bicol University? Kasi sabi ni Sir Bernie kanina, yung international student coming in to Thailand, no? So parang yun yung kulang natin dito sa Bicol University. And then, doon tayo maghahanap ng ano ang pwedeng mga alternative, yun nga, programs or programs na dapat gawan ng policy in the university level para doon na pumasok yung budget concern ni Ma'am Mariches, yung teachers, and so on, na po pwede nating ma-address. So siguro yun ang gusto kong tingnan sa study nyo is ano yung ginawa ng Thailand? Bakit yung mga universities nila pinupuntahan ng mga students coming from other countries, no? Na yun yung dapat natin gawin for Bicol University, which has something to do probably with promotion, linkage, partnership with regular supplier ng student sa atin. No? Okay, so yun lang yung masasuggest ko na gusto kong makita sa paper nila. This is submit. No? Sir JC, mayroon pong question or insights?
So, dagdagan ko lang po yung suggestion. Sir.
Yes.
You mentioned on the CMO number 55 series of 2016. So, in your analysis, nasaan na ba ang BU kung ibangga natin yung status ng BU sa CMO number 55?
Yes, actually, nanote ko din yun.
Sorry, can I hear the question again, Bob?
You mentioned on CMO 55 series of 2016, which is about policy framework and strategies for the internationalization of the different HEIs in our country.
Yes.
On that regard, so in your analysis about the standing of BU and if ibangga natin tong status ng BU dito sa CMO, where is BU now?
Where is the Bicol University now as far as the CMO is concerned?
Yes, yes.
Well, I haven't done the actual analysis. What I can see is that Bicol University is in the infancy stage. That is the reality. If you take a look at the intent of Bicol University that was mentioned in the presentation, amongst those intentions is to increase the number of international students. And how can the Bicol University do that? The Bicol University is assuming that increased web presence will do the work, but it is not doing the work. I can tell you that, even if there's no analysis, formal analysis has been done. That's why, as per Dr. De Leon has mentioned, without mentioning what has Madame Mariches has mentioned, the question now is what policy how do we compare Bicol University to Thai University? The thing is, all Thai universities are doing the same thing. That's why we say Thailand's experience. Because, for example, Chulalongkorn University, which is the UP-like university in Thailand, and also Mahidol University, which is the Ateneo equivalence of Thailand, and all other universities shown in presentation, and a lot more. Okay, so these are only the 10 universities mentioned. Their practice are all the same. And what was that practice that the Bicol University has done? That is the creation of international studies or the creation of international college. Okay. When they created the international college, the question is, did they offer the same programs that is being studied by local students? That is the question. And the answer to that is no. They created a program that is that has international context. And so therefore, the admission of the students are of international standards. For example, Chulalongkorn University has their admission test. They don't use that. Okay, they don't use admission tests of Chulalongkorn University as far as international students are concerned. They use international qualifications. That's one difference. As far as the budget, we can talk about it, but it's a lot more work of talking on how to generate budget through the international studies and how to market. Now, Bicol University, when compared and as far as if analyzed, as to, as I already mentioned, CMO 55, I would say Bicol University is in the infancy stage. I think there's a lot more in the CMO 55, and Bicol University must have that courage to explore further. Because right now, for example, like if I can cite, you have joint program. That joint program with UK University, and you have 4 students called TNE. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong. And these
That's
4
correct.
students are members of the faculty. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, we
Yes.
were the one who, what you call this, initiated that. Kami yung
Yes.
nag-ano niyan during the time when I was the associate dean of the graduate school. We spearheaded the implementation of the CNA program as coming from CHED Memorandum 55. But now I do not know what happened.
Okay,
and as you are trying to say, Mr. Bernie, this is something like students sending outside.
Yes, yes, sir.
Kasi this is being funded by CHED and other international squad.
Yes,
But
sir.
our problem
Yes,
is we do not have the students coming from other countries who
Yes,
are
sir.
going to get into Bicol University and be provided with specialized training that these students will be needing in their work probably for their future career. Yun yung medyo kulang sa atin, no?
Got it, sir.
Okay.
That is why, as Thailand's experience with this, again, I'll go back to creating institutionalizing the international college, developing international program, and hiring international faculties, and therefore admitting international students. That was the overall strategy. But the scene behind on how this practice is being done by many. I'm not just mentioning one university. This is a common practice in Thailand in terms of internationalization. That's why there's just an expansion massive of students coming in because of this. And in fact, just to tell you, because I am a member of the International Schools Association of Thailand, a voting member at that, the Thai schools know that the Philippines is the market of a market for South Koreans. Now they are eyeing now how they can be able to get South Koreans to come to Thailand. So that's a strategy that I think Bicol University can really look into. So there is a potential that I can see. It is just a matter of exploring further. And Ms. Mariches mentioned about budget, as I've said, and facilities. The sin behind as to how to develop this program is a long, will be a long discussion. So yeah, so in general, that's what I can see as far as CMO 55 is concerned, and as far as international, universities in Thailand.
Thailand, yes.
Yes.
So thank you very much, Mr. Bernie. So
Meron
I
pa
would
akong follow-up,
suggest,
Sir Mon.
okay, sandali. I would suggest na you list down, kung baga magkaroon ka kayo ng inventory nung ito yung common practices of universities in Thailand. At ito yung mga wala sa BU. At ito yung ating gustong gawa ng intervention and eventually policy. Yes, Sir Don August, but I guess Sir Labapi would like to say something first.
Madagdag lang po ako. So
Sir,
I am
Sir
interested
Don,
with...
after ni Sir Labapye.
Yeah.
Sir Mon, may be recognized.
Sandali lang po, Madam, after ni Sir Labapye.
Another point, Professor Melesio, is you mentioned about Thailand 4.0. I think it's very interesting to me. So, which I think it is connected with IR 4.0 or Education 4.0. What particular recommendation or maybe policy that you can introduce to be following that Thailand 4.0?
I think that it's not a matter of recommending a policy, because I think the Philippines has already had its own policy as far as the qualifications frameworks are. It is just a matter of implementation at the university level. The question is how the universities are applying that framework in its curriculum, for example, and it is academic undertaking. So we have the policy. It is a matter of implementation.
So,
What is
sir,
that
sir,
uniqueness of Thailand 4.0? Can you give us a very good example or a very good practice following that Thailand 4.0?
One very good example, I said, Sir Don can answer that question. At the university level is that they are very strict into following that framework that the commission on, was this the commission, not the commission of higher, the higher, oh my, Office for Higher Education Commission is doing. Yes, Mr. Don, thank you.
Sir Don?
I'll address first the Thailand 4.0. That is a question of Sir Labapi. Sir, Thailand 4.0 is the new national strategy of Thailand. So this is a 20-year strategy making Thailand a first world nation. Okay, so this is an overall strategy from its economy down to the last aspect or element in society, that everyone in Thailand, it's just like making Thais a first class citizen. Okay, that is the goal of Thailand 4.0, making Thailand a first world nation. And its number one strategy to become a first world nation is to change its educational system. So how it will change the educational system? The idea of Thailand is to make at least 10 universities of Thailand to be included in the first 100 universities of the world. So how can that be possible? Thailand government is injecting a lot of money, okay, to all universities. So basically the universities that they are trying to develop all the time are public universities. Okay, the popular universities in Thailand come from public universities. Mahidol, Chula, Thammasat, Naresuan University, Silpakorn, Burapha, they are all public universities. But it does not mean that private universities are not as good as public. They are as good as public, but they are very expensive. If public universities are expensive, times 3, times 4, times 5 for a private universities, because one semester can cost $500,000 baht. This is to address the question of Dr. Mon. A while ago, you asked about the specific, okay, university to university, what Bicol University can learn from the universities from Thailand. Just like what Sir Bernie said a while ago, this is a practice being practiced by all universities in Thailand because we have one system. What Chulalongkorn is doing, what Mahidol is doing, we are also doing because we belong to one system. So with the creation of international colleges among universities of Thailand, in the last portion of our presentation, we come up with the Bicol University's internationalization output. And we set at least 9 elements in that output, where it starts with the international faculty, international student support services, international admissions and recruitment, international students, international exchanges, embassy relations, research international collaboration, international internship, and international funding. And also, we are very much aware
of the International Office of Bicol University. However, what we are trying to create is an international office or an international department where international programs can be available and can be offered to foreign students. Because with a large number of foreign students coming into Bicol University, the funds of Bicol University will be multiplied. And its global presence will be known not just in the Philippines and in Asia, but to the world. Because one foreign student can multiply into big number because they can recommend that to their friends, to their relatives, to their families.
Yeah, okay. So that's very nice,
Okay,
sir.
sermon.
And we can, so kailangan lang natin meron na pala kayo ng listing, hindi lang namin nakita in the presentation, no? So we just need to make that very clear na para very specific yung mga natin. And then we will give chance to Madam Melinda and then Sir Dan, but we only have few minutes left kasi meron pang dalawang group that will be presenting. Yes, Mamel?
Okay, thank you very much, Sermon. Actually, I'm very interested on this presentation of Sir Bern and Sir Don, because we are also having this International Relations Office. Now, I would like to put now into this in the perspective of recommendation. As mentioned earlier by Sermon, what can we get from Thailand that can be adopted and implemented by Bicol University? I think this is what I'm asking now for you to be your recommendation. Considering that we have this International Relations Office, no? Kumbaga yan ang gusto natin makita for Bicol University, and based from your research also and related studies, makita natin what is missing in Bicol University. But make sure, please, that your recommendation will not overlap what is existing in Bicol University International Relations Office. Okay, that is all, and congratulations to
Yes,
the
Ma'am
group.
Mel.
Salamat, Tabi.
Thank you po. So,
Thank
Sir
you.
Dan.
Yes,
Sir Dan?
thank you. Thank you, Dr. De Leon. I was, while Sir Don was discussing about his points, I actually already got the answers. I was about to ask, what are the indicators of an international university? And I think these have been enumerated already by Sir Don, like the international research engagements and so on and so forth.
Thank you na, sir, the group.
Those are the things which I think should be present in your paper, so that there really is a policy you can
Ayaw niyong spaghetti? Linis?
Gusto ko, sir.
Spaghetti na. Sir Bern, nasa dyan na yung spaghetti na.
Sorry.
Dito na yung spaghetti, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is you just go back to those indicators and try to come up with a policy basing on those indicators for Bicol University, because the intention is very good. I actually like it. Congratulations to the group. And Sir Carlo, spaghetti, please.
Spaghetti. Okay, so thank you very
We
much,
want
Sir
spaghetti
Dan.
as well, sir.
Thank you very
And
much
thank you very
sa
much for
pa-staff
the
po
group.
ninyo.
And so we will now proceed to the next group presenter. But before that, I would like to thank the class for the spaghetti. Hindi pa dumarating sa amin. Nauna sa
Dumating na po
naga.
sa amin.
So
Dumating na po sa akin,
anyway,
sermon.
Wala pa din
thank
ako
you.
narinig.
So Ma'am Cristel.
Yes, sir. Thank you
Yes.
po. Thank you po to our dear panel and to the third group. Now we proceed to the fourth group. We have the presentation entitled Japan's Best Practices and Educational Success, Basis for Policy Studies in Philippine Education. Presenters, Arlene Esturas, Gina Lynn Bunanon, Jamila Makapundag, Mary Sweet Rose Tindok, and Cherry Rose Ann Tancangco.
To our dear Professor, Dr. Emily Agunos, panel of evaluators, classmates, a pleasant morning to everyone. It's a great opportunity to be a part of this activity with the theme Current Development of Educational System, Policy, Trends and Issues, and Best Practices of Selected Education in Asia and other parts of the world. Let me introduce my group mates. Erlyn Istura, Jenaline Bulanon, Cherry Rose Antangkangko, Jamila Makapundag, and yours truly, Mary Sweet Rose A. Tindok. Our study was entitled Japan's Best Practices and Education Success, Basis for Policy Studies in Philippine Education. Part 1. A background on the Philippine and Japan educational system. The educational system of the Philippines was highly influenced by the country's colonial history. That history has included period of Spanish, American, and Japanese rule and occupation. The most important and lasting contributions came during America's occupation of the country, which began in 1898. It was during that period that English was introduced as the primary language of instruction and the system of public education was established. Education in the Philippines is offered through formal and non-formal systems. Formal education typically spans 17 years, kinder plus 6 years of elementary education, 4 years of junior high school, 2 years of senior high school, and 4 years of higher education, leading to a bachelor degree. Elementary and secondary education is administered by the Department of Education. Tertiary higher education, bachelor's degree, master's degree, PhD degree, non-university higher education, or vocational and technical. The Commission on Higher Education is responsible in the formulation and implementation of policies, plans and programs for the development and efficient operation of the higher education system in the country. The delivery of higher education in the Philippines is provided by the private and public higher education institution. Types of higher education institution: state universities and colleges, private institutions, state universities and colleges, institutions founded by the national government. They have their own charters and autonomous from CHED. CHED-supervised institutions or non-chartered colleges directly under the supervision of CHED, and the annual budget allocation is integrated in the government budget appropriation of CHED. Private institutions are owned and administered by private individuals, groups, or corporations, classified either as sectarian or non-sectarian colleges and universities. Sectarian schools are usually non-stock, non-profit institutions owned and operated by religious orders. Non-sectarian schools are owned by private corporations which are not affiliated to any religious organization. Majority are stock and a few are non-stock, non-profit corporations, and a number are foundations. Discipline or field of study: agriculture education, business and management education, engineering and architecture, health profession education, humanities, social sciences and communication, information technology, maritime education, science and mathematics, and teacher education. Japanese educational system. Japanese educational system: 6 years of elementary school, 3 years of junior high school, 3 years of high school, and 4 years of university. Ministry of Education represents the Central Education Authority in Japan, oversees many national institutions such as universities, museums, research institutes, and youth centers, gives assistance to all levels of education throughout the country, closely supervises curriculum, textbook, classes, and maintain a uniform level of education throughout the country. As a result, a high standard of education is made possible. Tertiary or higher education in Japan consists of bachelor's level, master's level, doctorate level of medical programs and humanities. Universities: These institutions provide 4 years training leading to a bachelor's degree and 6 years program leading to a professional's degree. The two types of public 4 years colleges are the national universities, including open universities and the local public universities, which are funded by prefectures and municipalities. The other 4-year colleges were private. Popular courses in Japan: social sciences, business, law, accounting, engineering, humanities, and education. Quality of university and higher education in Japan is internationally recognized. There are 11 Japanese universities in the 2006 TNES QS World University Ranking. Out of the top 100 Asian universities in 2011's Times Higher Education QS World University Ranking, 33 were Japanese. Junior colleges are mainly private institutions. More than 90% of the students in junior colleges are women. Higher education for women is still largely perceived as preparation for marriage or for a short-term career before marriage. This college frequently emphasize home economics, nursing, teaching, humanities, and social sciences in their curricula. Special training schools offer training in specific skills such as computer science and vocational training. Some students attend these schools in addition to attending university. Others go to qualify for technical licenses or professional certification. The first stage of special training schools is lower than that of universities, but graduates, particularly in technical areas, are readily absorbed by the job market. College of Technology. Most of these schools are national institutions established to train students in 5-year programs in a number of fields, including the merchant marine. These colleges are unique in that they accept students after 3 years of secondary school. The 5-year program includes a general education at the beginning and then becomes highly specialized. Part 2: Japan's policies, trends, issues, and best practices. Education policy in Japan: building bridges towards 2030. Reforming the curriculum, an ambitious attempt to prepare young people for the future. Japan is a high-performing country in international comparisons. To adapt for the future, a new curriculum must prepare students for jobs that have not been created, technologies that have yet been invented, and problems that can't be predicted. The new curriculum focuses on using active learning strategies to develop students around 3 pillars: problem solving, creativity, and good learning habits. Sustaining holistic education, a key objective for the education system. But the price for this system is extraordinarily long working hours for teachers and a high degree of responsibility. The current revision of the school organizations aims to reduce a teacher's burden and to provide extra services to students at school. No ECEC year is mandatory in Japan, but enrollment rates are high for children over 4 years old, but significantly below those of leading countries for children below 3 years old. Gender imbalances persist in the labor market, where the wage gap and participation rates are among the largest across OECD countries. There is a need to ensure that lifelong learning supports reintegration of workers who have limited time for study. Japan's trend. Two trends have dominated domestic debate regarding Japanese education since the 1990s. The trends can be symbolized as a perceived conflict between the catchphrase Yutori Kyuku, roughly and somewhat misleadingly translated as a more relaxed education or education some freedom, and the action plan for improving academic ability. A specific response to the perceived decline of the academic, meaning ability in math, science, and literacy in comparison to their peers in other industrialized nations. The Gakusho Shido Yoryo that was implemented in 2002, responding to these trends, implemented the strongest version of Yutori Kyuku, The ultimate desire was to instill in students a zest for learning, to develop human resources capable of supporting and developing our society and leading the international society, to guarantee the quality of education in upper secondary school and university, to develop human resources who are capable of contributing to an intelligent population. To this end, world-class education and research centers need to be formed, and the internationalization of universities needs to be promoted. Japan's educational issues, status and issues of the stages until the completion of compulsory education. Preschool education has a long-term ramifications for personality development and is the basis for compulsory schooling. Compulsory education, elementary and lower secondary school. In upper secondary education, the students can decide what kind of schools they attend according to their motivation and ability. Tuition-free public upper secondary schools and tuition assistance subsidies for private upper secondary schools had been in place since the fiscal year 2012. The functions needed of higher education institutions have become more diverse as a result of changes in social and economic structures brought about by Japan's transition to a smart, mature society. Lifting the contribution of education to Japanese skills system, an urgent need for the Japanese society. Japan's educational system is high-performing, but there is still room to further boost its contribution to overall skill development. Funding support is limited in early childhood education and care, and tertiary education, educational stages. The low uptake of adult training in Japan also implies that there is a room for improving lifelong learning to help potential workers upskilling or reskilling and make the best of use of the skill pool as the population has started to shrink. Educational vision to be pursued over the next 10 years to cultivate in all children the foundation for independence within society by the same time they complete compulsory education. To improve the quality of public education and establish people's trust in it. To raise children with the support of the whole society. Part 3. Application of Japan's educational success to the Philippines. How can we apply Japan's educational success to Philippines? Policies. There is a clear correlation between the quality of educational system and its general economic status and overall well-being of the population. In 2021, Japan ranked 7th in the education rankings by country. Due to the fact that their educational system is so good, Japan has one of the world's best educated population with 100% enrollment in compulsory grades and zero illiteracy rate. With the above facts about Japan's success with their educational system, below are the list of possible policies which may be adopted by the Philippines to enhance its educational system. Japanese schools has a nutritionist who monitors the healthy nutrition for students and creates a menu. Since teachers and students eat together inside the classroom, since teacher and student eat together inside the school, this has a good effect both on teachers and student and the relationship between them is enhanced. It is interesting to note that the health of the children is one of the most indispensable factor in ensuring that the country will achieve healthy population which will eventually benefit socio-economic situation of the country and will constitute the most beneficial and productive and fruitful workforce for the society. Philippines must adopt a policy concerning or providing not only free and compulsory education but also by providing free, healthy, and nutritious lunches for the teachers and students. Developing values inside the schools which include self-discipline, teamwork, patriotism, respect, industry, love for the environment, and the like are some of the secret of Japan's in ensuring successful educational system. Developing important values among students is one of the avenue of Japan towards success in educating their students. They have no janitors inside their school, but children work in teams doing the task. Nobody litters since they are trained to become responsible. Policy on developing curriculum which is geared toward developing certain values and norms necessary for individual holistic growth and development. A policy study to sustain holistic education of students is the effective delivery of a well-rounded holistic education for children and to appropriate funds thereof.
Thank you.
Very
Group
much.
4.
Meron pa ba?
We just would like to remind, sir, the group that due to our limited time, we
Time.
can have the Q&A po for 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so thank you very much for the presentation. Ang ganda ng PowerPoint, no? And then, yung comment lang namin is that since hindi katulad ng naunang group na very specific for Bicol University, this one sa inyo is more on the national level, kaya medyo challenging. So I guess what we can do is identify just 1, 2, or 3 of the ano ba natin doon? Best practices na sa tingin natin is not yet being implemented in the Philippines. Like for example, yung sa mga bata, yung nutrition something that catch our attention and caught our attention, and you can focus on that, no? So Sir Dan, you are discussing something a while ago about yung uniqueness in Japan na nakita natin doon sa PowerPoint presentation nila, so we can better suggest na doon tayo mag-focus, no?
Yes, Sir Mon. There are actually a lot of practices that they can get from the presentation. Japan's unique practices are the following: could be the technology. They're really good at technology, and children are taught with life skills as young as they are already. So they don't need janitors because the children are already taught by teachers on how to wash dishes, how to clean the comfort rooms, and so on and so forth. So these are very good practices, and they preserve their culture, 'di ba? Bata pa lang ini-inculcate na sa mind ng parents or any other authorities that they are powerful over other countries. But I don't think that that could be uh, applicable in some of our policies, considering the multicultural education. So you can choose from among these, and this can be your basis in coming up with a policy. We were discussing a while ago with Dr. De Leon kung pwede siyang i-contextualize sa school-based. But I think it could not be possible since siguro in the private schools, pwede siya because they have the authority to implement policies. But in the public schools, I think it would be difficult because it's centralized. Kung decentralized siguro, they could have the authority to implement it. But since we are centralized, the policies, the perspectives of the policies are really coming from the central offices. Thank you, Dr. De Leon.
Yeah, and I guess they need to look into also the financial component of the best practices na na-identify natin. Okay, so Sir JC. Sir JC.
Hello, yes sir. Okay na?
Yes po.
Yeah. Dr. Roldan mentioned about the context. When speak about policies, policies can be successful if that particular policy or these policies are products of contextualization. Okay, so my question to the group is, what is that context in Japan that they have these success stories in education? which is the same context in the Philippines that can be adapted in our country. Because if the context in Japan is, though they have the success stories, but that context may not be the same context in the Philippines, I think hindi siya magiging successful. So if you would want to propose a policy, you have to look on the context. Okay, so be it political, be it cultural, and many other aspects when we speak about context.
Yeah, I guess you can focus your recommendation by studying deeply into the context of what Sir JC is talking about. Yes, Miss Gina Lynn?
I would like to add something, sir. We're not
Yes,
able to add that in our, actually it is already on the, but then
in
we're
the
not able
paper.
to expand or expound the topic. I guess Japan has focused on developing the values of the elementary or the early graders pupils. They are focused on developing the values like patriotism, self-discipline, teamwork, respect, or love for environment. But then another thing is they are very much focused on numeracy and reading. As we compared here in the Philippines, I guess because I am an elementary teacher and now I am a school head, I am having hard time understanding why is it that the Philippines educational system is focused on so many things like I know that araling panlipunan, APP, MAPE is also important, but then I think on the early grades, uh, the grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 pupils, they are focusing on 11 subjects.
My
So
goodness.
the tendency of that is they were not able, when they are reaching the intermediate grades, grade 4, 5, and 6, they didn't know how to divide, they didn't know how to multiply, or even to read with comprehension. So more on reading, but there is no comprehension. I think the focus is more on numeracy and reading, I guess, because there are so many pupils who graduated elementary and the high school level keep on complaining about us that why is it that that particular student they are able to reach high school in didn't even know how to divide, multiply, or even how to read. So yan po ang problema namin sa ano. So I guess yung curriculum po ang medyo may problema. Bigyan ng malinis polishing of the curriculum. Kasi po masyadong broad. Eh ang music po tinuturo, and another thing is I would like to add is music. Music is 40 minutes every day. So ang teacher nga po na nagtuturo hindi alam kung paano ituro. So, yes, we are sir, we are very much guilty of that. Kasi nabigyan din po ako ng subject ituro ang music, but I keep on complaining, sabi ko hindi po ako marunong magturo ng music. So paano ko po siya i-impart sa estudyante ko ang knowledge na nasa akin na ako nga po mismo walang alam. So, medyo po yun sa part na yun is medyo talagang kulang. Kaya po dumarating sa high school, talaga pong ang daming nagko-complain. Sabi niya, oh, itong estudyante niyo, ibalik din sa elementary. Tapos may nagli-letter po sa principal na bakit pinalusot na ganito, hindi marunong magbasa. So, yan po ang reality sa mababang ano. So, I think po, it should be started from the lower grades and from the bottom. Kaya po sir, siguro sa tertiary level, maraming, I don't know if you observe that,
yes.
marami ang hindi marunong how to do something like this, the research, even the research. So,
especially
yan
sa
po ang
comprehension.
problema namin. It's because po siguro dun sa pinaka-baba is talagang may problema na.
Yes. Okay, so maganda yung napag-usapan natin kanina that we do something like alternative curriculum for this younger learners, no? And probably I would just suggest na include natin yung ano yan, i-educate din yung mga family, no? Kasi minsan yung mga bata, iba yung kultura at yung ano doon sa school. Pagdating sa bahay, iba naman, no? So medyo malilito yung bata at their younger age, no? So last siguro, Sir Roldan, because mukhang sa bagay, Miss sino nga yung host natin? Miss Cristel. Okay, so last na lang si Sir Dan.
Yes, Sir Mon. This is just to add. Maganda yung shinare ni Ma'am Gina Lynn. That's actually correct. Kaya dapat ang policy talaga should really from the grassroots kasi nandoon yung problem. Because the problem is we have the policies but the ones who are making the policies don't have the idea of what is happening sa pinakababa, like
Yes.
ano yung context ng
Lutang
remote.
sila, no?
Yes, kaya mas okay that it should really come from the grassroots.
Yes, so thank you, Sir Dan, for that, no? So unless there is still somebody from the group who would like to share, kung wala na po ba? Baka pulisin na tayo ni Miss Cristel. Okay, so thank you very much. Lumabas na yung mukha ni Miss Cristel. Parang sinasabi ng andito na ako. So anyway, so thank you very much for the presentation ng group. And then just take a look at our suggestions so that mas ma-focus niyo yung final paper to be submitted. Okay, Miss Cristel.
Thank you po, sir. Thank you po, our panel and group 4. And lastly, we have now the presentation entitled Insights and Takeaways, 10 Reforms from one of the world's finest educational system, Finland. Presenters, Choda Kapuz, Jenny Banaga, Maria Bernadette Corsado, Maria Cristina Barroso, and Rose Cuya.
Logical training is very generic. Universities do cooperate a lot, and they also cooperate in
Finnish or in English, drawing or acting. There's something called rubber ducky debugging programming, which means that
it was life-changing to go to school and have the opportunities to actually see in practice what's really going on, and the truthful intention to teach students for life and not just for school or university or work. And I think that's the secret to the fact that Finland has the best educational system in the world, and how they're actually also one of the happiest societies in the world.
Here the teachers are totally with lot of activities and lot of playful method is used when they teach their children.
What impressed me the most is the trust that is given to teachers and students to do the right thing and to manage themselves and to be independent. It just feels like everyone is connected to nature, and emphasis on good nutrition and brain breaks throughout the day is apparent. So I think that's lovely.
What impressed me the most is that all the students, they are very self-regulated, and they are very dedicated to their subjects, and they are very interactive with the teacher, especially when the teacher is asking questions, and they dare to raise their hands and answer. They are taught to be responsible individuals, and I think this is a very important part in Finnish education, that every individual learns to be responsible of their own life and their own choices. Yeah.
Over the last 3 days, I've learned a lot about what is fun. Fun can be challenging. Fun can be flow, in other words, being in the moment. Fun can be being outdoors. Fun can be having the permission to fail, but really not fail, learn from your feedback.
Okay, 5 minutes talaga. Ha? Okay, so thank you very much, group, for that presentation. Okay, so Finland, one of the best educational system in the world, no? So for the ano yan, no? So you have 10 points, no? Parang reforms and takeaways. And to prepare a alternative program for the educational system in the Philippines, and come up with policy suggestion or probably recommendation. Very taxing if you're going to consider the 10. So I would like to ask the group, would you like to really consider the 10 in your final paper in the presentation?
Hi, sir. Good afternoon. I'm one of
Yes.
the members of the group.
Yes,
And
Ms. T.
the most attractive for me are
Yes.
number one is yung shortening of daily lessons. Actually, this during this pandemic, we're able to compress the competencies into MELTs, yung ating most essential learning competencies. But then, in Finland kasi, from the top, from the central office, they only give parang guides na 9 to 10 pages lang. But with the MELTs kasi sa atin, we still give around 40 to 50 pages of instructions, sample instructions para for this pandemic. So, very attractive, sir, yung 9 o'clock time in, and then 2:45 out na sila.
Uwi, Ana. Ay, wow, they still have a lot of time for themselves.
Opo.
Yes.
And then, yung sinabi doon na parang in less than 1 hour, tapos nila yung kanilang homework. So, I think parang ang daming burden na parang i-release ng mga bata kapag ganun yung setup natin. So I think it's one of the most attractive that we can get from the Finnish educational system, that they don't overdo, and then they don't have an overload of so many things in the curriculum. Number two, sir, is yung napaka-basic, yung kanilang teachers are the same. So parang from kinder to grade 6, isa lang yung teacher nila. So that's why they can monitor
Na-follow up talaga,
performance.
by follow through.
Oo, kaya na-follow through nila, and then they also parang naging na-treat na din nila na parang family member ng mga bata. So I think it's also parang it's also possible here in the Philippines because we have a number of teachers. In elementary kasi, grade 1, if you are a grade 1 teacher, you will be teaching grade 1 for a number of years. So grade 1 lang yung focus mo. So I think it's possible with the Philippine setup, with the number of teachers that we have, para wala talagang sisihan. Kasi halimbawa, grade 6, mag-high school yung bata, yung kaninang sinabi, di ba, na hindi pa nakakabasa. So parang ibabalik yung sisi sa elementary.
At least pinpoint mo sino yung teacher nito.
Opo. And number 3 na very attractive talaga, sir, sa akin, yung support nila doon sa mga teachers, because libre sa Finland yung higher education, yung postgrad education ng ating mga teachers. So yung 3 years na yon na postgrad, like for masters, for doctorate, libre yon from the state. So it's very attractive para sa ating mga teachers, and then they incentivize kasi. Sa atin naman dito sa Philippines, kapag may master's degree ka, you can apply for reclass. So pwede kang teacher 2 agad, teacher 3 agad, or master teacher kapag may master's degree ka. So yun yung incentive din natin. But alam natin, dahil sa medyo mahal din yung ating education for postgrad, hindi lahat ng ating mga guro nakaka-avail ng ganyan. So I think it's one of the sustainability siguro policy din ng for professional career development ng mga teachers natin. We can tie up with the state colleges and universities for siguro mga discounted na postgrad education para sa ating mga teachers. These are 3 most attractive na policies that we can very possible na pwedeng ma-implement po sa Philippines.
So you are saying na probably your group will just focus first on these 3, no? Para hindi naman kayo mahirapan mag-come up with so many policies.
Yes, sir. Personally, nakikita ko na strong points doon sa presentation ng Finland, and with the current setup and resources that we have in the Philippines, parang napaka-possible po niya and practical na i-recommend.
Okay. So what about the other panel member? What can you say about what Ms. Teen told about us? Sir Dan, Sir JC, Ma'am Mel, Ma'am Ems.
Compete ko naman sining duwa.
Sige. Okay, Sir Dan, anything?
Sige na, ipasa na yan. Time out na kita.
Okay. Ma'am, thank you. Thank you so much.
Nagaluwas si Miss Cristel.
Thank you, Ma'am.
So napaka-interesting talaga ito, no?
Opo, napakaganda actually niya, sir, yung sa Finland, kasi sabi ko parang napaka-attractive. Ang ganda.
Sir Mon.
Yes, Sir Dan.
I would just like to ask Madam Maria Cristina. Yeah, she pointed out three things which could be the best practices of Finland. One of which is the teacher from grade ano ba 'yon? Yung sa primary, siya ang nagiging teacher sa
parang one teacher lang,
parang
sir.
grade 6 ba? Or there is a continuity?
From
One
grade
teacher.
1 to grade 6.
What is the intervention of What is the intervention of this school? For example, namatay yung teacher.
Actually, yes.
Oo. Actually, sir, yung nabanggit doon, dahil wala silang masyadong assessment sa mga bata, they use yung mga descriptive, yung mga behavior performances ng mga bata. So kapag may ganun, siguro, I would think na yung school file ng bata will be readily available para doon sa mga sa next
So, pwedeng pumalit. Oo.
So yung mga yung description ng performance ng bata from grade 1 to grade 6, nandun yun, available yun sa kanilang school.
Kasi pag ma-retire na rin siya tapos mayroon siyang nasa grade 3 pa lang, no? Hindi pa siya pwede mag-retire.
Opo, that would be the basis of the next teacher. Sabi ko maganda yun kasi from grade 1 to grade 6, talagang mamomonitor talaga nila, sir, yung performance. Sa atin kasi, grade 1 iba yung teacher, tapos grade 2 iba naman yung teacher.
Tapos sabihin ni teacher, bala na ngayon teacher niya next year.
yun, sir, actually, ang isa din sa ano.
Yes.
Opo.
Okay, Sir JC, anything? Nakakaon pa kayo si Sir JC ng spaghetti.
No more question po.
No more? Okay. So ayan, si Ma'am Ems, lumabas mukhang mayroong gustong sabihin.
Actually, I'm thinking about the time left for us to complete the program. Pero parang I would love to study in Finland kasi it's fun. Yung environment nila is very from the Philippines. Pero I'm just wondering na sabi nila yung mga children during their foundation years are not are not stressed in terms of start of the workforce. Will they still be relaxed and cool and not so stressed about work? Because we're talking about the values, habits, or whatever you call that.
Actually, ma'am, in one of the interviews with the students there, parang they appreciated that the educational system is teaching them not for work but for life. Yun yung nabanggit nila na they are teaching them for life, getting ready for life. So that would meant na practical applications are being provided as scenarios doon sa mga school activities. So they go out doon sa field, outdoor activities, yung mga ganon. Although fun siya, but yun nga, ano din siya parang fit din siya pag nagtrabaho din sila and then in real life. So parang fit din siya for real life scenarios. So from what the student has or interviewed student has said kanina dun, ma'am, sa video. So yun po yung
parang similar doon sa Japan, ano?
na they are getting ready for life, not for work na very stressful. Although fun naman talaga yung parang yung pedagogy kasi nila is mga activities, mga may outdoor, mga ganun, pero practical pa rin na mga activities ibibigay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
ma'am.
so thank you very much to the group. Ang ganda ng presentation din, no? Okay, so asa na si Miss Cristel? Time na ba? Okay. Yes, Miss Cristel, I turn over to you now the floor. You can bring the floor anywhere.
Thank you po. Thank you, Group 5, and thank you to our dear panel. We just would like to recognize the additional inputs here in our chat box from Sir Jeffrey. Life skill curriculum should be a focus in the early grade. I think yung kanina po ito. And for this group, from Sir Jeffrey pa din, sabi niya, Finland belongs to first world countries. Sabi naman ni Sir Bernie, there is assessment but not the traditional assessment most of us is familiar with. I guess their practice very much applicable on their end, considering that Finland belongs to first world, and we should not misunderstood Finland learning assessment. Yun po ang galing sa ating mga participants. Thank you po. And wow, all the 5 groups have finally presented their outputs and are truly commendable. Congratulations everyone for making it. Yay. And now let us have the awarding of certificates to the panel of evaluators. And allow me to read to you the citation. Republic of the Philippines, Bicol University, Open University, Daraga Albay, EDDAM 317 class presents this certificate of commendation to Dr. Roldan C. Cabiles in sincere recognition and appreciation of his expertise as one of the evaluators during the virtual presentation of proposed policy studies on global trends and issues in education with the theme Current Development of Educational Systems, Policies, Trends, and Issues and Best Practices of Selected Educational Institutions in Asia and other parts of the world, held on December 1, 2021 via Zoom. Given this first day of December 2021 via Zoom meeting. Signed, Dr. Emily M. Agonos, Academic Program Coordinator, and Dr. Rameses M. Lorino, Dean, BU Open University.
Thank you very much po.
Thank you, sir. The same certificate is given to Professor Jose Carlo B. Lavapié. Same certificate is given to Dr. Emily M. Agonos. Same certificate is given to Dr. Ramon T. De Leon. And same certificate is also given to Dr. Melinda D. De Guzman. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our panel of evaluators and to all the participants who are joining this webinar right now. You will receive a certificate of participation after you have accomplished the evaluation form link. This will be a sample of your certificate of participation. Yan. All right, this time, are you excited to know the result of the best presentation?
Okay.
Let's see.
So, for the best presentation,
yes,
alam nyo naman,
call on the panel chair.
Yes, thank you. Miss Tel, alam
Yes.
naman nila lahat no yung criteria natin for judging, no? Do I still have to no need na daw. So just announce the best presentation for this afternoon. Medyo nahirapan yung jurado, no? And the scores are just very close, no? Hindi naman masyadong kalayuan yung difference. But the winner, winner ba? Or the top, anong tawag natin dito, ma'ams? The best paper presenter or presented this afternoon is the Thailand experience on the internationalization of higher education institution, what Bicol University can learn from. So we have group 3. The presenters are Don August Delgado, Bernardino Milicio, Robert Luciliano, Vina Joy Lopez, and Mariches Bihino. So congratulations, Group 3, being the top paper presented this afternoon. Ano na po ang masunod, Miss Tel? Parang wala akong naririnig na palakpakan, tahimik yung grupo.
Yay, congratulations,
Congratulations
to the group. Let's give them a virtual round of applause. Congratulations, Sir Don, Sir Bern, Sir Robert, Sir Ma'am Benajoy, and Ma'am Mariches. Wow, and for your certificate, it was already flashed the sample of it. So right now, let us listen to the acknowledgement to be given by our faculty in charge in EDDL 317. Everyone, let us give our virtual round of applause to Dr. Emily M. Agonos. Madam?
Okay, before we end this insightful virtual presentation on the global trends and issues in education policy studies, as presented by the students of EDDM of the Bicol University Open University. Please allow me to express my thanks, a big thanks, to the MAELM Foundation of Education class for their participation, the other graduate students from other programs of the Bicol University Open University for their interest to join the activity. Also, our gratitude to the full support of the Open University, headed by the Dean, Dr. Rameses M. Lorino, the core faculty members and staff for making this event possible. And of course, we are grateful to the panel of evaluators for sharing their time, expertise, and additional insights to the outputs of each group. The people who contributed to the success of this activity. Special mention to Dr. Benji Nebres, Director of Office of Student Affairs and Services, for allowing us to use the Zoom account, as well as to Ms. Risa Valenzuela and Mr. Reynaldo Lieva, who is now in Albania, for the good luck messages. And likewise, to my dear EDDM graduate students for accepting the challenge of presenting a group output for assessment of a panel. I'm truly proud of you. Likewise, my special thanks to the committee who worked hard to make this event memorable and exciting. We have Ms. Jamila Makapundag, Ms. Cherry Rose Antangkanko, Alvin Mahawan, Crystal Ann Hermosa, Vena Joy, and also Mary Sweet Rose. When it was just an idea for us to have an activity, we felt like it may not happen. But with everyone's contribution, all things are possible. And this is supported by Nelson Mandela's quote that it always seems impossible until it's done. We did it. Congratulations, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mom. Congratulations.
Thank you very much, Dr. Agonos, for this meaningful virtual activity. Indeed, this afternoon's presentations inspired all of us and filled us with information and salient features of the world's best educational systems. If only we can try to apply them in our own as well. The Philippines also having an educational system that match the world's standards will not remain a dream. And before we officially end the program, I'd like to remind the participants not to forget to accomplish the evaluation link after this meeting. Now may I request everyone to turn on their cameras for our photo opportunity. I will be counting 1 to 10. Just smile po all throughout because our technical team will be having print screen and screenshot. 1, smile. 2, 3,
JC.
4. Sir Alvin, okay ba? Kung Sir Alvin po ang bahala. 5, 6, smile. 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Thank you so much po to our panel of evaluators, technical committee, our presenters, and to all the participants. Thank you so much, everyone, for your participation in our webinar. Congratulations. Bye, everyone. Stay safe and God bless.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Mom, the evaluation link is already in the chat. Bye.
Si Sir Bert, si Angka Alcohol.
Thank you.
Thank you po.
Aluwas
Congrats,
na.
Thailand.
Thank you po. Congratulations.
Okay, bye-bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Galing ng host. Hi, Sir Alvin!
Ayan po yung yung link po, sinisend ni si
Saan
Sir
po?
Alvin.
Ay, yung
Apo.
Ay, ano talaga pag-describe si Sir Alvin.
Hi, Sir Alvin. Nandiyan ka ba po?
Yes, ma'am.
May error daw po sa link ng evaluation. Wala daw submit button.
Ha? Hindi, baka ano lang, ma'am. Baka
Hindi daw nga po masagutan. Ayan, may nag-chat.
Alvin, parang editor link yung binigay mo.
Ay, sorry, ma'am.
Opo, kaya na-edit siya.
Ay, sorry.
Opo.
Baka naka-bio account, ma'am. Sorry.
Opo, i-copy link mo na lang doon sa ano.
Opo. Sorry.
Thank you.
Ito uli, ma'am. Sorry.